Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing the social media dashboard with theme switcher. So we're going to be creating a dark mode toggle for this application, and we're going to be using Tailwind CSS and Tailwind CSS because it now ships with a dark mode feature. As we begin, then please subscribe to the channel if you're not already and ring the notification bell so that you're always going to be notified of when I upload a new video. So you can head over into frontendmeta.io/challenges and you can download this challenge. So I'm just going to click on restart. And then I'm just going to say get started, and I'm going to say download the starter files here. And so once you download the starter files, you can navigate into your downloads folder and you'll find a zip file right here called social media dashboard with theme switcher, which I'm just going to right click. And then I'm going to say extract here, which is going to extract into a new folder called social media dashboard. And then I'm just going to right click once again and say open with code. And now what I'm going to do is, and actually what I've already done is that I've already canvassed a new React application by saying npx create React app right here. And I've called the app social media dashboard. So you can go ahead and you can run this command to create a new React application for you. Now, if you're trying to run this command and it's giving you an error, then probably you should check whether you have npx installed by saying npx -- version, and it should give you the version of npx that you're currently running. And I have version 8.15, and then you can also say npm -- version, and it should be the same version as your npx. And then you can also say node -- version. Now, if none of these commands are working, then you should head over into nodejs.org and download and install Node.js on your machine, and then you should be able to run these commands. So once that is done, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cd into my newly created folder called social-media dashboard, and then I'm just going to open Visual Studio Code into this folder by saying code dot, and then I can close this down. And so once I close that down, then I'm going to place this to the left, and I'm going to place my extracted folder to the right because I want to do a bit of copying and pasting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the style guide, the readme template, the index HTML, the images, and the design. And I'm just going to right click and say copy. And then in my React application, then I'm just going to right click and say paste. And then I'm going to go inside my gitignore, and I'm going to select everything inside here. And then inside my React application gitignore, then I'm going to go to the bottom. Now I can place this to be full screen, and I can just paste this in, and then I can change this to line 29, and I can change this to line 35 and 36. So I'm going to save this, and this is going to be where we're going to be working. Now what I want to do is I want to open up the desktop design inside here. So the desktop design, and you know what, I'm actually going to build the light theme first of all. Okay, so this is the light theme, and then we have the dark theme right inside here. So let's start with the light theme first. And what I'm going to do is I just want to close this because we have already copied all the files that we need. So just close this, and then I can go ahead, and this can remain open for a moment because we're going to be running our application on localhost 3000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over into tailwindcss.com, and inside Tailwind CSS I'm going to go into the framework guides, and I'm going to say create React app because I want to install Tailwind CSS in my React application. So I'm going to copy this command here, and then using Ctrl and J, I'm going to open up my integrated terminal and then paste this in and let this run. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this second command. So copy this, and then once this finishes running, then we're just going to paste it in and continue installing it. Okay, so let's paste this in, which is going to create a Tailwind config file and a post CSS config file right here and right here. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and then inside my Tailwind config file, I can now close my terminal. I'm just going to paste it inside here, inside these square brackets. Save it. And then now I can copy these 3 lines into my index.css, which is the entry file for my CSS. So inside the index.css right on top of this, I'm just going to paste this in and save it. And then now we can start our dev server. But before we start our dev server, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and check inside my style guide markdown file for this font that we're going to be using. Where is it? Here it's called Inter. We're using the 400 and 700 font weights. So I'm just going to say Control and click to open this link. and then we are going to search for Inter. So we have Inter, we want the 400 and 700 font weights. So the regular 400, and then we want the bold 700. We can just use the import tab and copy this, and then inside our index.css, so back inside our index.css, on top of this, I'm just going to paste this in. So save this, and then we can change the body here to now have a font family of Inter with a fallback of sans serif right there. And then we can remove the margin here because Tailwind CSS resets some of the styles. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to remove this, and now below this I'm going to access all the ULs, and I'm going to set the ULs to have a list style type of none because I don't want bulleted lists. And let me see, we have images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to access all the images again, and I'm going to have the images to have a max width of 100%, meaning they shouldn't overflow outside of the device width. And then let's see this toggle, we're going to create it, and I think we can work with this. In case of any other styles, then we are going to add them in. Now what I'm going to do next is this. I'm going to go inside my source folder, and I'm going to delete the app.css, the app.test.js, the logo, the report with vitals, and the setup tests because we don't really need them. So delete them, and then inside the app.js, I'm going to remove these two lines because we have deleted these files. And then I'm going to remove the header inside here, and then I'm just going to return on each one that says hello world, like so. And then inside my index.js, I'm going to remove this on the bottom because we've deleted this file, and remove this as well, and save it. And then we are going to delete this markdown file. So this one, we're going to delete it. So right click and delete. And then we're going to rename this into the readme. So this is going to be our readme because this is the one that is provided to us by Frontend Mentor. So you can close this, and then now let's check for what else we need. We need the images here, so the Facebook, Instagram, So what I'm going to do is, see this favicon, I'm just going to open the public folder, and then I'm going to drag and drop this favicon inside here, so that now I can delete the favicon.ico, and then inside the index.html, I'm going to change this into favicon-32 times 32.png, so that it's now going to use the favicon from Frontend Mentor. And then I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it inside here as well. So paste it here. And do we need to paste it anywhere else? No, we don't. And then now let's just change this title into, let me see what we have in the index.html. So Frontend Mentor, and then the challenge name. So copy this, and then inside our index.html here, paste this in, and then just say social media dashboard with theme switcher, and save this. And then we can remove these comments, and then we can remove this one as well, and then we can remove this. And then you know what, for the meta description here, I just want to copy this title and then paste it here inside the meta description. And then we can change this into F1, which is a very slight gray for the theme color. And yeah, once we have this, then we can close this down. And then let's see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the entire images folder. So just drag it and drop it inside the source folder, so that now the images are going to be accessible inside our source folder. And that is going to be quite important. So now once we have this, then I think we are ready to go, and we can just go ahead and open our terminal, and then you can say npm run start, which is going to spin up our dev server on localhost 3000. So once our dev server spins up, then you can see that we have hello world on the top left. So now we can begin building our application. And what I've done is I've opened up a new desktop so that I can switch between my image here and our code. It becomes a bit easier for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up, place this to the right, and then place this to the left. And then actually, let me see how this is structured. So what I'm going to do for this is that probably, I think I can even place all of this to be inside the app.js. I don't know whether that's a good idea, but I think because all of this is static, so I think I can place it to be inside the app.js, all of it. Or I can create a component for the header here, and then I can create a component for the followers, and then I can create another one for the today. That might be the way to go, because it becomes much easier to manage what we are seeing. I think I will do that. So let's go ahead and create a components folder. So inside the source folder, I'm going to right click and say new folder, call this components, and then I'm going to call the first component header.js, and then the second component I'm going to call this followers.js, and then the third one I'm going to call this, actually what's it called, overview. Let me call it overview. So new file overview.js, and then I'm just going to say RFC inside here, and I'm using an extension called ES7. Let's see, where is it? Here, it's called ES7 plus React Redux React native snippets, and you can go through this if you want. And you can, by the way, you don't have to use this extension, but I use it because I don't like repeating all this every single time, you know. So I can just say RFC to generate a function component for me, as you can see right here, or I can say RAFCE to create this kind of component, and so on and so forth. So that's why I have it inside here. So just say RFC, and then it's going to create this, and then inside the header.js I'm going to say RFC as well. Save this, and then inside the followers.js say RFC, and then save it. And then now what I'm going to do is inside the app.js I'm going to import the three components on top. So I'm going to say import header from ./components/header, and then just copy this down twice, import followers, and then import overview. So overview. And then once we have that, then I'm going to remove this so that we're going to be turning a React fragment. And then inside here, let me say this, I'm going to say let's return a section, and then inside this section we're going to have the header first of all, and then we're going to have the followers, and then we are going to have the overview. So overview, and then you can save this, and on the screen we should see header, followers, and overview, and then I can place this to the left. So now let's go inside the header.js, and then inside here, instead of returning just a div, we're going to structure this out to return a header element, and then inside here we're going to have a div, and then this div is going to say, let me give this an h1 that says social media dashboard. So let's say an h1 that says social media dashboard. Is it capitalized? Okay, capitalized. And then below this I'm going to have a paragraph. Let's see, I'm going to have a paragraph that says what does it say? Total followers 23004. So total followers 23004. Okay, and then outside of this div I'm going to have a button, and you know what, it's not even a button, this is going to be our toggle. Now for the toggle I'm going to do something cheesy, and I'm going to just copy and paste, because I don't have like, I always forget how to do this. So I have some piece of code that I'm going to be copying and pasting from my GitHub. So once you have that, then let's go ahead and do this. Once you have our header here, then I want to go inside the h1 and style this out. So I'm going to give this a class name of font bold, font dash bold, and I'm going to say text dash 2xl, and margin bottom 1 to push it away from the paragraph just a bit. And then I'm going to say what's it, actually let me save this first. Yeah, change the color, so text slate dash 800. Now something that I should mention, I'm going to be using the colors from Tailwind CSS according to how I see them from this design. So if you want to use the actual colors for this application, then you can go into your style guide markdown file, and these are the colors right here for the dark theme and the light theme. So you can use this if you want, but I'm going to be using the Tailwind CSS colors. And then inside the paragraph here, I'm going to give this a class name of text dash slate dash, let's say about 500, and font dash bold. Save this. Let me see how this looks. How does that look? Almost. Let's say 600, and then let's remove the margin bottom one here. It's a bit too big. And then inside the header, and you know what, not even inside the header, let me do this. Let me go inside the section. So inside the app.js, inside this section, give this a class name of padding all round of 5 to push all the components inside, and we're going to have that. And then now I can go back inside the header, and I can do this. Inside the header I'm going to say give this a class name of flex, and items dash center and justify dash between, so that these two elements, the div and the toggle that we're going to create, are going to be placed side by side and to the end. And you're going to see that once we add our toggle. But for now, we can go ahead and create our followers cards. So inside here, I'm going to return a section, and this section is going to be as follows. Let me see. So we have 4 cards, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the first card, and then I'm just going to do a bit of copying and pasting for the others. So let's go ahead and do this. Inside this section, we're going to have an article, and this article has an image on top. As you can see, it starts with the image and then the name of the person. So we are going to do this. Instead of just the image, because I've seen that it's the image and then the name of the person afterwards, then I'm going to turn a UL with 2 list items. So li times 2, and this first list item is going to be our image img. The source for this image is going to be Facebook, which we're going to import. The alt attribute, in case the image fails to load, then I just want to display Facebook on the screen. And then the second one is going to be the name of the person, so at Nathan, what is his name? Nathan F. And then now let's go ahead and import this image. So I'm going to say import Facebook from /images /icon dash Facebook .svg. Let me just confirm that that's its name. So icon facebook.svg. So we are importing this image. And then below, let me see, below this UL, let's see what we have. We have 1987 followers. I'm going to place in an H2 here, and then I'm going to say 1987, and then place in a span, and the span is going to be this text below it. So followers. So followers. And then below this, what do we have? We have a positive. We have an icon here. This is also an icon. See this triangle, and then we have 12 today. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to say place in a paragraph, and then inside this paragraph we're going to place in an image. The image, I'm going to say, let me see what's it called, icon up. So I'm just going to call it up. So up, and then because this is decorative, then I don't need to have an alt attribute, so I can just remain empty. And then the text is just going to say 12 today. And then let's import this image. So just copy this down and then just say icon up. So Control D to select both texts and just say up from icon up. And then we're going to have 12 today. And then do we need anything else? No, we do not. We only need this thingy on top, which I'm going to add. So save this, and then let's see what we have on the screen. If it's going to reload. Okay, so now you can see that we have this one article on the screen with these images. So let's go ahead and let's begin styling this out. So what we're going to do is inside this article, we're going to give this a class name of bgslate-100. Let me see how this looks. A very slate color, and actually that's the background. Oh, I've just noticed something. Look at this right here. There's a background. Like the bottom is white, but right here there's a background. I didn't capture that. Let me see how it looks on the mobile screen. Where's the mobile? The mobile also has it very slight. Okay, so we need to add in that. Yeah, this is much more visible. See this background right here, very slight background. Oh, actually I structured this wrongly. Okay, so I structured this wrongly. We're going to fix it, don't worry. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this then. Let's do this. So bgslate 100, I'm going to change this to 200. Let me see how this looks. And 200 because I want the background to be 100. I think that should be correct. Because this is a bit darker. This is a bit darker than this. So we're going to do this. Inside here, let's just continue styling this out for a moment. Let's see padding all round of 5. Let's say rounded of dash large. Let's add a slight box shadow. We don't need to have it in, but we can add it in so that it's just a bit pronounced. And then let's change the box shadow to slate-200 as well, to give it like a blurry feel to it. Or let me say slate-50 so that it's not so visible. And then we're going to do this. Let's go inside this UL, give this UL a class name. of flex and items dash center and justify dash center, and then let's say text center as well, which is going to move it to the center. And then let's go inside this image, give this a class name of margin right of 2 to push away from the text a bit. And then let's go inside this text. For the li, give this a class name of text dash small and text dash slate dash, let's say 700. Let me see how this looks. Let me see how this looks. Oh, and it's bold. So font bold, font dash bold. How does that look? Fantastic. Let me change it to 600 just to see. 600 works as well. And then let's go ahead inside this h2, give this h2 a class name of text dash 4xl. Let me say 5xl and font dash bold and text dash slate dash 800. I used 800 on the header, so let's continue using 800. We're going to have this, and then we're going to say text dash center. And then now let's go inside the span, give this span a class name of text dash base, and I want it to be a block element so that it goes to the next line. So block, and then let's say text dash slate dash 600 and font dash normal. Yes, that's the class, so font normal. And then let me say I want it to be uppercase with a bit of letter spacing, so tracking widest. Let me see how this looks, and look at that. So let me say text small instead of text base to make it just a bit smaller. And then back inside the h2, I want to add a margin y of 5 to push away from the image here as well as from this text on the bottom. And then now we can go inside this paragraph, give this a class name of text dash center to push it to the center. And then I'm going to give this a class name of text dash emerald dash 500. Let me see how this looks. Almost the same color. Let me say 600. Almost the same color as this. And then now what I'm going to do is inside here, because I want this to be centered as well, I'm going to display flex on it, which is going to place them side by side, as you can see. And then item center is going to make sure that this image doesn't pull all the way to the end, as you can see. And then I'm going to say justify center, which is going to push it to the center. And then inside this image, I'm going to give this a class name of margin right of 2 to push it away from the text as well. And then let me go back inside the paragraph and let me say text dash small on it to reduce the size just a bit. And you know what, this image can be bigger, so let me say width dash 5. Let me see how this looks. Nope, let me say width dash 2, dash 3. Yeah, dash 3 is much better. Now you can see that this is going to be our first article. So what I'm going to do is inside this section, I'm going to give this a class name of padding y of 10 to push it away from this header as well as from the overview. Just increase the spacing here. And then we are going to add a second article. So just copy this article, paste it here. And when you save it, then it should appear. But you can see that it doesn't have any space. So I'm going to go back inside the section and I'm going to display grid on it. So I'm going to say display this as a grid with grid columns dash 1 to begin with a gap of, let's say, gap of 8, which is going to separate these two articles. And then on medium screens, I'm going to say grid columns dash 2. And then on large screens, I'm going to say grid cols dash 4. So on large screens, we're going to have 4 columns. Now look at this. When I increase the screen to past 768 pixels, which is the medium screens here, as you can see, when I hover over it, I have the actual Tailwind CSS class. Oh, by the way, I should mention this extension. The extension is called Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. Here, it was built by Tailwind Labs, which also builds Tailwind CSS, and it just gives you suggestions of the Tailwind classes that you can have. So it's quite nice, as you can see. And then when you hover over certain classes, in fact all the classes, then it's going to show you what that class is actually made of, as you can see, such that now when I hover over the MD, then you can see that the MD here, I've defined it to be 768 pixels, which is the default. So place this back to the side. And then now look at this. When I increase this past 768 pixels, then it's going to display as 2 grids. And then when I increase it to large screens, then you can see that now it's going to be 4 grids. Now the third grid is here and then the fourth grid is here, but you can't see anything because we are not rendering anything to the screen. So let's go ahead and add the 2 articles that are remaining. And you know, let me actually change the text first, otherwise I'm going to forget it. And the image, it says Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So let's import these images. So copy this down. So copy Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. then just say Control D and say Twitter, and then this one Instagram, and then this one is going to say YouTube. And those are the images that we're going to be importing. So the second article here now says Twitter, and the text here says what? At Nathan F. The text remains the same. So here says 1044 and 99 today. So that's the only thing we're changing. So here says 1044 and then here says 99, and the styles remain the same. So that now I can just go ahead and copy this article, copy this one. Let me copy it 2 more times. So 1 and 2, and then this third one that ends here. So the third one here now says Instagram. The image is going to be coming from Instagram, and the handle is what? At real Nathan F. So at real Nathan F, and then the text says what? 11k followers and 1099 today. So here 11k, is it small or capital? Small. So 11k followers and 1099 today. So 1099 today, and then the final one says YouTube, and then the text says Nathan F dot, Nathan F dot, and then the H2 says 8239 subscribers and minus 144. So 8239 subscribers, 8239, and then this now says subscribers, and then minus 144. So 144, and then now this image now is going to change into the down arrow, and then the text is not going to be saying emerald, it's going to say rose to change it into red. And then we actually need to import this image, which is going to be just copying this downwards and then changing this into down. So Control D and say down, and then we can save this, and now look what we're going to have on the screen. So there we go. So at real Nathan and we have that as well. Wait a minute, is this text bold? It's bold. I didn't realize that. So let's go ahead inside this paragraph, and then right here let's just say font dash bold, and then copy this class. Oops. Copy this and paste it here. Where is it? Here. And then go ahead and paste it here as well, and then go ahead and paste it here so that the text is going to be bold. There we go. There we go. And now we can increase this to larger screens, and you'll see that now our responsiveness is working as expected. And of course, I now want to limit this so that it doesn't go all the way to the end. So what I'm going to do is inside my app.js, inside the section, I'm going to give this a max width of, let me say 4XL, and then I'm going to say MX Auto, which is going to align them to the center by placing equal margins on the left and right. And this is too small, as you can see. Let me say 6XL. So 6XL. Is that big? This still looks small to me. So let me say, what does it go to? Does it go to 8XL? I don't think there's 8XL, so 7XL. I think 7XL is better. If this still doesn't work, then Tailwind also has a class called container, and it just limits everything, and it's much better. You can see that if I zoom out, then it looks quite nice. And you know what, probably I'm going to use container because I think it looks bigger and much better. Now let's go ahead and create our overview, which is going to be basically almost the same thing. So inside the overview.js, we're going to do this. We're going to return a React fragment, and inside here we're going to return a section, and this section is going to be as follows. Let me just see the followers that we have, and let me see, we have page views, So once again, we are going to create one article, and then we're going to do copying and pasting for the rest. So overview today, we need to import the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, and the YouTube. And we're going to do that by doing this. We're going to go inside the followers on top, and then we're going to copy all these images, copy them. And inside here, we're just going to paste them in because we're going to be using the same images anyway. And then the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be returning an article. This article is going to what? It says overview today. So so it says overview today on top. So let me say on top of this, we're going to have an H2 that says overview dash today, and then inside this article we're going to say this. We're going to say, I'm just thinking of the structure, so I'm going to have this like inside a paragraph, and then the image and then we're going to have this inside, like maybe a UL, or maybe you can just have ULs for both of them. I can have a UL that says page views and this and the image, and then another UL that says 87 and the image and the text here. So let me say UL. This UL is going to have two list items. The first one says page views, and then the second list item is going to be an image. The source for the image is Facebook. The alt attribute is going to be Facebook. You know what, I've just realized I didn't change the alt attribute for these others. Let me see where we have Facebook here. The alt is Facebook, but for this one, the alt, I want this to be Twitter. And then for the third one here, I want this to be Instagram. And then for the fourth one, I want this to be YouTube. There we go. So save this. And I've just realized that I haven't added the top borders, so we're going to add them in a moment. So let's go ahead back into our overview. This second one is going to say Facebook. And then we're going to have another UL with two list items. This one says 87, and then this one is going to say an image. The source for this image is going to be the up arrow. And then below this, we're going to have a text that says 3%. So save this to be the first one, and then let's see what we have on the screen. Let me place this back to the left, this to the right. Squeeze it. And we're going to have this for our article. So let's go ahead and begin styling this out. So inside the article, give this a class name of bg slate-200, padding around of 5 with a rounded border with a slight box shadow with a box shadow that says shadow slate-50. Let's save this. We're going to have that. Let's go inside the page views. Let's give this a class name of text slate-600 and font-bold. Let me see. Okay, let me change it to small text, so text SM. That's too small. Let me just have it to be the base text. Let me see. Okay, and then now let's go inside this UL, give this a class name of flex and items-center and justify-between to push it to the end to end, like so. And then inside this UL, I'm going to have a margin bottom of 5 to push it away from this one. Okay, and then let's go inside the second list item, give this a class name of font-bold and text-slate-800. Let's say text-3XL. Let me see. Let's say 4XL. Make it just a bit bigger. 4XL. Let's go inside the second list item. And now let me go inside the UL first of all, give this a class name of flex and items-center justify-between to push it to the end. And then I can go inside the second list item, give this a class name of flex once again and items-center. And let's see what we have. We have that. And then I'm just going to say, let me see what justify start does. Justify start. Okay, nothing. So we can have it in, or we can remove it, by the way. So let me just remove it. And then inside this image, inside the list item, let me change the text to emerald 600. I think I used 600 for these ones, right? And then let's say font-bold and text-small. And then inside the image, let's give this image a class name of width-3 to increase its width to be just the same width as this one. And then let's say margin right of 2, not 22, to push away from the text just a bit. And you can see that we have our first overview here. And then let's style this h2 on top. So inside this h2, let's give this a class name of text-slate-600. Let's say font bold. Let's say margin bottom of 8. And then let's say, what am I missing? Let's save this. Let me see. Yeah, increase its font size. So text-4XL. That's too big on mobile. So let's say text-2XL. And then for medium screens, let's say text-3XL. Okay, let me reduce this to margin bottom 5. There we go. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's copy this article. So copy this article one more time just to see how it's going to look. So we're going to have this, and the second one still says Facebook. So likes Facebook, then 52, then -2. So likes, this one says likes, it's still the Facebook icon. This one says 52, and then this is going to be the down arrow, so down, and then now this is going to say rose instead of emerald, and then this is going to say 2%. Save this, and this is going to be our second article. And then now I can go inside the section which begins right here, and then I can give this section a class name of grid, and the grid columns -1 to begin on mobile with a gap of 8. And then let's see, for medium screens I'm going to say grid columns -2, and then for large screens I'm going to say grid columns -4, so that now it's going to be spaced out just a bit. And you know what I've just realized, just so that the layout looks uniform, I'm going to increase the padding on the left and right to 8, because I've been using a gap of 8 here, which it's as though that this gap is greater than this one, and it's not even as though it is greater than this one, so it looks just a bit squeezed in. So what I'm going to do is inside the app.js, I'm going to change this into padding all around of 8, so that now the gaps are going to be uniform all around. So back inside the overview, let me see, we have Facebook. The next one is going to be which one? The Instagram likes, so 54, 62, and 22, 57. I'm not even going to remember those numbers. Why did I even bother? So copy this downwards, change this into Instagram, change this alt text into Instagram, change this into, what was it? So 54, 62, and 22, 57. 54, 62, and 22, 57. And then this is going to say text emerald, and then this is going to show the up arrow. And then save this. Let's see what we have for the Instagram. So we have that, okay. And then let's go ahead and do the fourth one. So the fourth one is still Instagram, so profile views, so 52K and 1375. So copy this article. So this one says 1375, so 1375 and 52K. Oops, 52K. Let's see, it's still showing the up arrow, and we are showing the, what was it? The profile views. Save this, and we have the profile views on the bottom. And then next we have the retweets, the likes. So let me go ahead and copy this article one more time. So copy. And if you're wondering why I just don't copy all the articles at once, it's because it's going to confuse me. So this is going to say retweets, this is going to say Twitter, and then this is also going to say Twitter. And then let's go ahead and say the numbers, say 117 and 303. So 117 and 303. And then let's go ahead and just paste in this article one more time. Next we are going to say the likes, and 507, 553. So 507 and oops, and 553. And then this text is going to say, what was it? I forgot. The likes. So likes. Wait a minute. I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I hadn't saved it. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and do now the likes and the total views. So we have YouTube next. Is one of them or both of these are red? So both of these are red. So let me copy this second article for the likes. So the likes should be Facebook likes. Where is it? Here. So this article, copy this because it has the red text here. That's why I'm copying it. And then below this article, let me place it 1 and 2 for the YouTube. Change this into, what was it? Likes and 107.19. So likes. This should say YouTube. The alt attribute is going to say YouTube. Well, what is it? 107 was it? And 19. Yeah. So 107 and 19. And then this next one says what? Total views. So total views. This says YouTube as well. And then the alt attribute says YouTube. This is going to say 1407 and 12. So 1407 and 12. And save this, and we should have our two last articles right there. Fantastic. And then now all we need to do, and actually we already added the media query. Right, there we go. And by the way, this is the class of container. See how now like it never pushes to the end. We added padding on the left and right, yes, but like it never pushes to the end because of the class of container. And then now on large screens, look at this, it's going to restructure. There we go. And then this is how it looks on large screens. Fantastic. And then now let's go ahead and do this. Now that we have both our articles, and I'm seeing that it's not so stretched out, so let me change the class of container here in the app.js, and let me just have it to max with dash 7xl. I think 7xl is the maximum that it can go, so that we're going to have this. Now let's go, and I feel like reducing this text. I really feel like reducing it. Yeah, I really feel like reducing this text. So let's go ahead and do this. Inside the overview, the text is where is it? This one. So text slate dash 800 with a text of 4xl. So I'm going to select this text 4xl, and I'm going to say Control D, which is going to select the next one. Is that correct? Yes. And then I'm just going to say Control D for the rest of them, and then just say text dash 3xl, which is going to reduce the font size. There we go. That's much better. And I've realized that this text is black, but I've been using slate, so you know it doesn't really matter all that much, because like you can see the UI still looks the same. It's just the colors that are just a bit different. And so next what we're going to do is this. I'm going to go into my GitHub profile and look for the toggle. So let me go into GitHub, and I have a repository that we did for the project the other day that is called profile card. No, it's called pricing component. And inside pricing component, where did I put the toggle? Is it in app.js? Let me see. The toggle is this one right here, this div here. So I'm just going to copy this div, and then inside our header I'm going to paste it below this. And then of course we don't have these, we don't have this state value, so I'm going to remove this for now. I'm going to remove them for now, and then I'm also going to remove this label. Remove this label, and we also don't need this label, and we don't need the margin bottom 10 here, so remove it. And then let me see, what else don't we need? We have the input, okay. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also grab the CSS for it. So inside the, where is it, the index.css, I'm going to go ahead and copy the toggle. So the toggle here, copy it all the way to here. So copy this, and then inside our index.css, I'm just going to paste it below this. Okay, now let's see. Let me just confirm what we need. We have the class of label, and this should be now class name, by the way, don't forget. So class name. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I made a mistake. This was a React project. And I used class here. This should say class name. If you built this project, I did not capture this. This should say class name, not class. So let's just confirm that we have everything inside here. So class name label. So we need the label, we need the toggle, and the checkbox. Save this. Let me see, we need the logo. We don't need the name. We need the label, the checkbox, the toggle. Okay, so save this, and we should have something on the screen right inside here. We have our toggle here. Okay, we're just going to change these colors in a moment. So now let's go ahead and style this toggle to be looking like in the design. So let's go ahead and do this. Back inside our index.css, we want to change this background here. So the background, I'm just going to cut this out, and I'm going to be using a Tailwind class called @apply. A Tailwind directive, not a Tailwind class. So @apply, and I'm going to be applying a background of slate-300. Let me see. There we go. So this is going to be our background, and then when we click it, when it is active, then you want to change this to let me see, to this linear gradient. See this linear gradient, and let me see if I can do that correctly. So Where is it? Where is it? The label, the checked, the label. Let me see. I'm going to access the dot checkbox. When it is checked, then I want to access the dot label, and I'm going to say give this. Let me say at apply. Let me just try something. At apply bg red dash 500. Let me see first of all if that will even work. Okay, so it works. So now I want to add it. I want to make it a linear gradient. So I'm going to say bg gradient dash to right, so to the right, and I want to start from bg dash slate dash 900, and I want it to go to bg dash cyan dash, let me say, dash 500, and I want it to pass, so via, oh, let me place it to the end, so via emerald dash 400. Let me see how this looks. It says make sure it is defined is here, so it should say from slate, it's not from bg slate, so from slate 900. Let me see, that'll work. Oh, that looks ugly. What are these colors? You know what, I can just add this in as a linear gradient. I don't know why I'm even bothering this. So inside the style guide, we should have a linear gradient somewhere here. So this is the linear gradient. So let me just copy this. And then inside the index.css, let me remove all this. And I'm just saying go background, set this into linear gradient. Actually, I can just paste this in. So linear gradient, change the to, place in a comma, and then let me grab these colors. So cut this out, and then I'm going to say linear gradient, and then paste this in. And then I'm going to say this is to the right. So to right. What's the directive? Is it to right or to dash right? Okay, there we go. To right. Let me see. Doesn't work. Does not work. So let me change this into 120 degrees. Oh, I'm doing something wrong. Am I? I am doing something wrong. 120 degrees. How do you add a linear gradient? I mean, I've just can't even think. Let's go back into my GitHub. Let me see. How do you add a linear gradient? I mean, I've just deleted the line, man. So linear gradient 90 degree comma. Okay. So 120 degree comma. I was missing a comma. There we go. There we go. Now in the design, this ball looks just a bit smaller, but that involves messing up with the styling a bit. Do I want to do that? So let's go ahead and just reduce the size of this ball, and we're going to do this. So the ball is right here, the width is 22 and the height is 22 to make it square. So let me reduce it to 18 or 18 pixels. Let me see. So 18 pixels is just a bit smaller. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to reduce the width of this checkbox, and the width is where here should be it. Let me reduce this to, I've reduced it by from 22 to 18, so that is 4. Let me reduce it to 46 here. Oh, wait a minute, that's the width. I want to reduce the height, so reduce this to 22. Let me see, there we go. And then I want to move this inwards a bit, because you can see that the end here, the space at the end is just a bit bigger than the one at the beginning. So I want to move it inwards just a bit. And you know what, let me go inside here, push it to the left to 4 pixels, push it inwards. And then actually that looks fine. That looks fine. But then I want to increase this height to, let me say, 23 pixels. Let me see. Messes it up just a bit, but just a bit, so that it's negligible. So that now if I increase this to 2.5, then it should be okay. It's even not visible. So let me say 3 pixels. No, let me say 2.5. 2.5 I think was fine. Yeah. 2.8 still bothering me. it's still bothering. Can't I add, wait, or I can't add decimals here? 2.9. Oh, I don't think I can add decimals. How did I not know that? How did I not know that? Okay, So this is going to be our dark mode toggle, and I've just realized that it has a text. It has some text here that says this is going to be HTML4 checkbox. It has text that says dark mode. I just realized that, so the text should be here. As you can see in the design, the text is right here. Now let me show you something interesting about Tailwind CSS. First of all, let me style this to be better looking. Let me go inside here, give this a class name of font bold and text slate 600 and text dash small. So we're going to have this. There we go. And let me change the cursor to pointer. So cursor dash pointer. So that when I hover over it, then it's going to be showing a clickable icon, a clickable cursor, meaning it's clickable. Now, something interesting about Tailwind CSS is that you can add dark mode classes within your JSX or your HTML if you're dealing with HTML. And you can do that easily by just going, for example, I'm just going to go inside this first article, inside the followers. So I want to target this article. And inside here, see how we give it a bg slate of 200. I can go ahead and add a dark mode class here and say that when dark mode is activated, then I want the bg to be slate dash 900. And now look at this. I don't have dark mode yet, but if I go ahead and change my system preferences into dark mode, then this is going to have a background of slate 900. Now watch this. Let me just go ahead and change my settings. Okay, so I've now changed my system preference into dark mode. Now look at this. Now that it is dark mode, then this has a dark mode, has the dark mode color applied to it because I applied a theme that when I have dark mode activated, then the color should change into slate. Now if I change this into green, so if I say emerald dash 500, then I should see this to change into green. There we go. Because by default, the dark mode color scheme here uses the what's it called, the prefers color scheme from CSS, meaning it's going to check for your system preferences and then apply the correct classes. But since we are going to be creating a toggle here, then I want this to be inside the application itself and not inside, not dependent on whether the user has dark mode activated or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this and change this back into slate, and then inside our Tailwind config file here, then what how are you doing it? I've forgotten how I was doing it. There we go. So let's Google how we add Tailwind, how we add dark mode to Tailwind CSS. I've forgotten. Let me see, where's the search box here? Let's see dark mode manually. Okay, so module.exports, we have dark mode and set this into class. So module, where is it? Here. So right below this, we can say dark mode and then set this into class, meaning now it's going to be dependent on the classes that we add. Where is it? Followers. So now we are going to be able to create a toggle for it when we click on this, and you can see that now that I've set it to class, then it disappears. So what I'm going to do is, just to be on the safe side, is that I'm going to close my server, shut it down, so Control and C, and then I'm going to restart it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I've changed a setting in the config file, and it is usually recommended that when you change settings in config files or .env files and so on and so forth, then you shut down your server and restart it, just to be on the safe side. So let's go back into followers, and we have this. So let this open up first of all, and then we can continue. So once our server restarts, you can see that we have the same application running with not much functionality. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, I think I want to work on this toggle so that we can actually add in our classes and you can see how it looks. So let me just figure out how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go inside the header, and then I'm going to say this. I want that when I click on this, it toggles a function called handle toggle dark mode, or handle toggle theme. Let me say handle toggle theme. Or you know what, you can just call the function toggle theme. I mean, really. So toggle theme, and then let's go ahead and create this function. And the function, we're going to say const handle theme is equal to an arrow function, And then we're going to say this. When we click on this, then we're going to say body dot class list dot add, and we're going to be adding the class of dark. And you notice it's not even add, we're going to be toggling it, so that when I click on it twice, then it's going to go back into the theme that was in the first place. What's happening? Oh, toggle theme, not handle theme, so toggle theme. So let me see. I don't even know whether this will work, but hopefully it's going to work. So inside the followers, we have the dark mode, so that now then we should see, so body is not defined. Body should be where inside the header. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to say const body is equal to document dot query selector, and we're selecting the body element. Save this, and then now we should be able to toggle. Nope, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because the body should have, I've forgotten how to add dark theme. Oh my god, should be easy. Let's go inside the index.css, inside the body here. Let's say at apply, and I'm going to say that when we have dark theme applied, then I want the BG to be selected as 800. Let's see. I'm doing this wrong. So let me save this. Let's go ahead and let's create a state value here. So I'm going to say const dark mode and set dark mode. This is going to be equal to useState. By default, it's going to be false. And then we're going to say this inside our input here. We're going to have a checked here. So whether it's checked or not, then this is going to be equal to our state value of dark mode. So dark mode, and then on change, then we're going to say handle dark mode. So what is the handle? Toggle theme. So inside toggle theme, now we can go ahead and do this. We can go ahead and say, first of all, set dark mode into true. I just want to see whether this is going to work. Set dark mode into true. Toggle theme. Let's go ahead and say F12, and use state is not defined, so import it here. So use state. Let's import it, and then let's go into our application here. Sorry, not inside the application. Wait, is this a guest window? Why am I not seeing my React? Okay, there, my React DevTools. So inside header, we should have use state false, so it should turn to true. So it's true and false and true and false. And this should say toggle theme, set this into the opposite, should say into the opposite of dark mode, so that we can toggle it. So when it is true, it is false, and when it is false, it goes back to true. There we go. Okay, so this is working. So now how do you fix this? I'm forgetting how to add dark mode. Let me say if dark mode is true. So if there is dark mode, then I want to say body dot class list dot add the class of dark, and then else, then we're going to say body dot class list dot remove the class of dark. And then we can go ahead and get our body. So const body is equal to document dot query selector, and we're selecting our body. And you know what, if this doesn't work, then I'm not going to use this toggle, but I'm going to use the prefers color scheme. And something is still not working. Okay, let's do this. Let me disable this first of all, and let me also disable these two lines. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my Tailwind config file, and then I'm going to remove this class, just disable it for now, so that now we should see this toggle. There we go. Okay, so do you see this now? Because we are no longer using the class here, then the dark mode toggles, because the body has a background of slate on dark mode, and we have specified that right inside here. So instead of this being 800, let me change this to 900. And then let's go ahead and do this. Let's style this out for dark mode. Oops, what's happening? Okay, let me place this here, and then let's style out dark mode. So we're going to be basically changing all this text into readable text by adding the class of dark. So inside the header, I'm going to go inside here, change this and say that for dark mode I want this to be text slate dash 200. Let me see. There we go. And then here for the paragraph, we're going to say this, that for dark mode, change this in text slate dash 300. And then we're going to do this for the toggle. Here we're going to say that for dark mode, change this into text slate dash what did they use, 300 on the paragraph. Save it, and now we should be able to read this. And then let's go inside this article. Wait a minute, am I actually doing this wrongly? So on dark mode this is white, on dark mode this, the text is white, and then this other one is now slate in color, slate-ish. So let me change this into slate dash 400. Let me see how that looks. And then let me change this paragraph into 400, and then here change this into text white for the text. There we go. And then let's go inside the articles. So inside the followers here, inside the articles, change this into bg, what was it, let me change this into 800. Let me see. And then for dark mode, we're going to change the shadow into slate dash, what did I have here, 800. Let me say 700 for the box shadow there. Okay. And then we are basically going to change the text into white here. Let me see how this text looks. Okay. So for the UL, where is it? For this UL, for the text here, for the text, I'm going to say change for dark mode. Let me change this into text slate dash 400. And then here I'm going to say that for dark mode, let me change this into text white. And then for this span here, I'm going to say that for dark mode, change this into dark mode. Let me change this into text slate 400, and we should have reload. There we go. We have that on the screen for dark mode. And then we're just going to basically do the same thing for the rest of them. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for these other paragraphs. You can see that it's quite a bit of repetitive work. So for the article, changes and say that for dark mode, I want the BG to be slate dash 800. And then I'm going to say that for dark mode here, I want the shadow to be, shadow to be slate dash 700. And then just cut this out from here and paste it after the box shadow so that it has a bit of uniformity. And then let's go ahead inside this one here, change this into, say, dark mode. Let's say text slate dash 400. Let me copy this prefix because we're going to be using it. Let's go inside the H2 here and say that for dark mode, let's say text white. And then inside here, let's say that for dark mode, change this into text slate 400. And then let's go ahead into where is it, the next one. So here change the and say dark mode BG slate 800. Here we're going to say dark mode shadow slate 700. And then here we're going to say that for dark mode we're going to say text slate 400. And then here, where is it, here we're going to say that for dark mode text white. And then inside here once again for dark mode BG slate 800, slate dash 800. And then here for dark mode shadow slate dash 700. And then here for dark mode, should be here, text slate 400. And then here for dark mode text white, yeah, that should be correct. No, here text slate 400. Save it, and then let's see what we have. And there we go. So these are our dark mode thingies, articles, and then we need to do the same thing for all of this. So inside the overview, let's go ahead and let's do some copying and pasting. So inside here, we're going to change this into BG slate 800. And now let me just copy this entire class. Should I copy this entire class? Inside here, change this into shadow dash slate-700. And then let's go ahead and let me see inside here. For dark mode, I want this to be text white. Okay, you know what? Let me show you something. Let me show, because this is going to be quite repetitive. Okay, let me see how this text looks. So this text is not white, it should be slate. Where is it? Where did I add it? Here. So text slate 400. Now let me show you what I'm going to do. So I know that all these LIs have the same color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this next one here, and I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to go into the next one and hold down the Alt key and click here, which is going to add a second cursor, and then go inside here, the third one, click on it, and the fourth one, remember to hold down the Alt key, click on it, and the fifth one here, click on it, and then the sixth one, and then the seventh one, and then that should be last one. Yeah, and then here I'm just going to say for dark mode I want the text to be slate-400, and when I save this, then all this text is going to change all at once. You can see that it changes just a bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this list items, which are going to be white. So what I'm going to do is this. So for the rest of this text that should be white, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to select these classes, because I know that these classes are only applied on this text of the numbers, and then I'm just going to say Control D and just select all of them. So Control D all the way to the end, and then I'm going to go to the end by just what's this key called, this right arrow, which is going to put me to the end of this. And then I'm going to say that for dark mode, then I want the text to be white. And now watch this. What's going to happen? All the text is going to change into white because it's on dark mode by default. And then now all I need to do is just change the background color of these articles to white. So once again, I'm just going to select all of this text and say Control D, Control D, Control D, and then my right arrow, and then I'm going to say for dark mode, I want the BG to be slate-800. Did I say 800 or 900? Should be 800. There we go. And then once again, I'm going to say that for dark mode, I want the box shadow to be slate-700. And should change this. There we go. So this is our dark mode. Look at this, looking quite fantastic. And then now all I need to do is just remember how I did this, because I can't seem to remember how to add dark mode. So let's go back into our Tailwind config file, and then let's enable this so that we use the class names. So this is going to go back into white, and then we're going to have this, and then let's go and do this into our header. Let's enable this, and then let's also enable this. Oh wait, what? I misspelled this. Oh my god, this should be an O. Let me test this. Let's see. Toggle, and why does it do that? Let me see. Reload. Dark mode. Okay, so something is wrong. See how like it's on dark mode but we don't see the dark mode, and then I click on it, then we see the dark mode. So that's an issue, because dark mode should not be showing the light mode, right? That's an issue. So I should change this into true, and that should fix it. It should fix it. Let me reload. Let's see. No. That's not it. So if checked is true, then I want the dark mode to be shown by default, but I don't want the dark mode by default. I want it to be light mode by default. So this should still say false, and let's see, it should say false, and then it should do what? And you know what, let me remove this from here, and then let's say that if dark mode is here, then I'm going to say this. I'm going to say set dark mode into true, because we have added a class of dark mode. And then I'm just going to copy this down and then change this into false, because we are now removing dark mode. Is that going to fix it? Let's reload. Let's see, test. Oops. It doesn't work. It does not work. Set dark mode here. On change toggle theme calls this function. Let's see, why don't you work? Why doesn't it toggle? So dark mode is here. Dark mode is here. Or is it dark mode? Why does it not work? Why doesn't it work? Let's open our okay, there we go, components, and then even the state value doesn't change. The state value doesn't change. Let me make this empty. Let me see what happens. Nothing happens. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Or maybe I should say this. I should say change this into opposite of dark mode. And then change this also into the opposite of dark mode. Let me see. Does that fix it? Why does that fix it? I mean, why does that fix it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And see how this is still toggling wrongly? This is still toggling wrongly. So I can remove this from here and I can place it to the bottom of this. This is toggling wrongly. And I'm thinking that in order to fix this, then I'm going to have to change my styles a bit. And I also need the body to toggle as well. The body is not toggling. Why isn't the body toggling? So what I'm thinking is I'm going to have to remove this from here so that I can add a dark mode toggle here and say BG slate -900. Because when I add that in, the body should now toggle. See that? Now the body toggles, right? Which means that if I remove this constraint from here, then it's going to go all the way to the end. And then of course I need this to be H of screen so that it goes all the way to the bottom as well. And let's see. Let me see first of all how it looks on mobile. See that now? That's not good. So let me say change this into H full. Does that fix it? There we go. So a height of 100%, meaning it's going to take up 100% of the content that is in. And then like for, let me say about for medium screens, let me say for large screens, H of screen, meaning 100 report heights, which is going to go all the way to the bottom. And then let me see, let me go inside the body, my index.css inside the body. I can remove this from here and say set this to have a max width of 7XL and an MX of auto, which is going to limit it. Does that break anything? It does. It does break something. Okay, so that means therefore then I'm going to have to remove this from here and I'm going to have to add it in individual components. So on top of this section, here, I'm going to add a max width of 7XL and an MX of auto, which is going to limit our header so that it doesn't go all the way to the end, our followers. And then let's go and do the same to the header here, just add it in before this, and then inside our overview as well on top of this, meaning we also need to add it in the H2 as well. So paste it inside here, which is now going to limit everything. Okay. Oh, this text needs to be white. So here, so for dark mode, let's say text white. Dark mode checked is it? Oh, you know what? Let's change this into the opposite of dark mode. So checked is going to be the opposite of dark mode. Does that fix it? Please tell me that fixes it. Oh my goodness. That is much better. That is much better. Okay, so there we have it. That is our dark mode toggle. Now we have two things to fix. We need to add the borders on top of these cards, and then we also need to add like the background on the background that is there, like this background. So let's go ahead and start with the borders on top because I think it's easier. So inside the followers, I'm going to go inside this first article, and then I'm going to say add a border on top. So border dash top dash 2, and then I'm going to say border dash blue dash 500. Let me see how this looks. Should be here. Reload. There we go. Now the reason why it's very like, see how it's a bit curved on the edges, is because we are using a border and we're not using an absolutely positioned div inside this article. Now we can do that, and I think we're going to have to do that for this Instagram thing, because you can't have a border that is a linear gradient. I think so. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure, so please don't quote me on that. So I can change this into border top dash 6, and it should increase the width. Or 6 does not exist, dash 8. It should increase the width of the border, and now you can see that now it goes all the way to the end, because the height of the border is sufficient enough so that it doesn't curve on the corners. I don't know whether you get that. Like if I reduce this into 2, then look at the border now, it curves a bit. You don't want that, right? So I'm going to have it as 8 here, and then I'm going to copy these classes, and then for the second article here, I'm going to change this into 600. It's going to still be blue, but 600. It should be the opposite. Change this into 500. Change this into 600. I think the Facebook color is darker than the Twitter color. And then let's go and do YouTube first, and then we're going to do this one last. So on the bottom where we have YouTube here, change this into border red. Let's see how red looks. Oh, that's not even the correct one. Cut this out from here. Change it into the last article here. Should be here. Red 500. Yeah. And then this red is a bit darker. Let me change this into red 700 or 600. Oops, 600. Let's see how 700 looks. 700 does look okay. And then now we are going to have to do the Instagram one. So for the Instagram, let's go ahead here, and I don't know whether you can add let me say border, let me say control space bar. Let me see what borders I can add. Can I have a border gradient? Let me say border gradient. Border opacity, border clip. See, we don't have a border gradient, right? So now this is what I'm going to do. Therefore, on top of this or below this, I'm going to have a div, and then this div, I'm going to say position this div absolute. And now let me start by adding a background color. Let me say bg gradient dash 2 dash right, and we're going to be starting from, let me say purple. Let me say from purple, what's the color? Purple 400 dot 2, let's say pink dash 200. And I'm using emmet, by the way, that's why you can do this. I always forget to mention that. And then let me add a height of 8, because the borders that we added, we added borders of 8, so this should be fine. So height of 8, and then let me say border dash top right, so border dash top dash right or dash left, and not even border top left, but rounded dash top dash left. What's the class? Okay, let me add I'm forgetting the class. Let me just add in this first of all, and then let me save this. Let me see how this looks. It should be somewhere. Oh, I need to add a width as well, so width dash full. There we go. So this is our gradient, and we need to do this. We need to add the border on the top left and the top right. So I'm going to say rounded dash top left dash large and rounded dash top right dash large, and we should have rounded borders here and here. And then I'm going to say position this absolute to the top by 0 and to the left top dash 0 and left dash 0. Going to bring it somewhere. Of course, it brings it there because it's positioned absolute relative to the body. So now I want it to position relative to this particular card. So I'm going to go inside this article and set this to have a class of relative. So that is now going to go back here. There we go. And then now what I want to do is just reduce the height because that height is too big. So reduce the height to, let me say 2. Height 2. Okay, height 2 works perfectly. Now we just need to change these colors. So let's go ahead and do this. So let me just try to check if Tailwind is going to have these colors. So it's like, what color is this? Oh, wait a minute. Instead of doing that, there's a linear gradient for Instagram here. So let me just copy this. And then let me go inside my index.css, and right below this, I'm going to add a class of Instagram. And I'm going to add a background here. Just paste this in, change this into linear dash gradient, and then grab all of this and then place in my brackets, and then say for 90 degrees. Then I want to add in these two colors and add in a comma here. And actually, is this 120 degrees? Should this be 120 degrees or 90? Let me change it to 90 just to see how it looks. And then save this, and we should see not much change, not much change. So let's go ahead and now add the class of Instagram on this div. So the div should be in the followers here. Where is it? Here. So let me remove these classes, remove these classes, and then add in a class of Instagram, which means it's going to take up the classes of the background that we added. There we go. So this is our Instagram background color. And then now let's add the background of the slight background that we have on the header and on the first section. So I'm going to go inside my app.js, and I think I'm going to add it in on top of this. So let me add a div here with the class of bg slate dash. What did I have on the cards? I have a class of what? 200 on the cards. So let me say bg slate 100. And then for dark mode, I want bg slate dash 700 because I have 800 on the cards when it is on dark mode. And then let me say height dash 52 and width dash 4. And then let me say position this as absolute. And let me say position to the top by 0 and then to the left by 0. And then let me say what else? I wanted to have a negative z index or minus z index of 10 so that it goes to the back of the elements. So save this. Let's see what we have. Should appear. It should appear. It doesn't appear. Let me change this. Let me add some text. Let's say Lauren 10. Let me see where it's good. The text is going to be. Oh, the text doesn't. Oh, you know what? The text doesn't appear because now it has a negative z index. So it has a negative z index here. That's why the text doesn't appear. Okay, so let me remove the z index here, and you can see that now it appears. So now we have our slate color here, but then we don't want that to happen. So let me try and add in some style here. Now I'm going to say z index, set this to -1. Don't know whether that is going to work. Okay, -1 works correctly. Fantastic. So let's remove this text, and we should have this for our social media dashboard. Look at that, looking quite nice if I do say so myself. Are we missing anything? Oh, we are missing something. The mobile wait, what color do I have on the body? Because this is not appearing. Let me change this into emerald dash 500. What color do I have on the body? Or is it this one? It's this. It's because of this. Oh my god, this is going to mess up again. It is going to mess up again. So add it back in. Okay, so I don't know whether you understand it, but the reason why this messes up on dark mode is because I've added in this class explicitly. So if I try to add this on top with a negative z index, then this is the one that is going to appear on top. I don't know whether you get the logic there, but that's why we don't see this like the green background right now. So change this back into bg slate 700. What should I do here? Should I move this on top? Should I move it on top? Does that change anything? It doesn't change anything on mobile. And this has curved areas. Yeah, I just noticed that. let me add the curves here. So let's say rounded dash bottom dash large, or let me say dash 2XL. Make it just a bit large, too small. Let's say 4XL. Wait, does 4XL not exist? 3XL? Okay, there we go. Now, how do we add this? Because the solution would be to just remove this from here. Because if I remove it from here, then look at this. If I add the dark mode, then we have our background there. See it now? It's easier on light mode because light mode already has the white background here, so there's nothing much to change. What if, no, that's not going to work. I wanted to add the background on the components, but I just realized that the components don't go all the way to the end, which means the background is going to reach somewhere here and then it's going to stop. So let's see. If I have a BG of slate 400 here, then it's going to mess up with this. We can't see the toggle on mobile screens either, so or on light mode screens either. So what do we do? What is the solution for this? Let me change this to 0. Let me see. Yeah, 0 does that. 0 does that. Oh, you know what I can do? Change this into -1, and then I'm going to go inside the header. So inside the header, no, not inside the header. Is it inside the header? Or you know what? Wait. Change this to 0. Okay, so that now it's going to appear on top, and then I can go inside the header. I think this is going to fix it. Go inside the header, and then here let me add a class of relative with a z index of 10, and then just copy this, and then let me go inside the followers on top on the section, and then just paste it here. Is that going to fix it? See that? Okay, there we go. Now this is not the correct color, just realizing. So let's go into our app.js. Let's change this into slate-800. There we go. That's much better. That is much better. There we go. You see, CSS is just trying it till it works. These box shadows don't look nice. You can change them if you want. I'm not going to change it. But yeah, that is going to be the project. So let me go ahead and create a repository for it. So let's go back inside here. Let's create a repository, and then let's also deploy our application to Netlify. So let me open Netlify. Let's go ahead and create a new repository. So new repository. Let me go ahead and say social media dashboard -yt, and then let's say create repository, and then let me copy this link, and then let me log into Netlify. Login, and then let's deploy our application. So we can close all of this down, and then just make sure that we have no error in our console. There we go. And then let me say this. Let me say git add all and git, so git commit -m, and I'm going to say initial commit, and say complete project. And now I'm going to say git remote add origin, and paste in our link to our remote repository, and then git push -u origin main, which is going to push to the main branch. So this branch right here. As it is pushing, let me go ahead and log into Netlify, and then we can begin to. Why did it log me out? Oh, by the way, I just noticed that Netlify also uses the prefers color scheme, because now that I changed this into dark mode, then now like it shows me the dark mode of the website. So I want it to go back into light mode because I don't like the dark mode. So let's go ahead and do this. Let me say add new site, import existing project from GitHub. and then we want to get the social media dashboard. So social dash media, let me just search that. I think I only have 2 repositories that are named that. Searching, there you go. And then we can just say deploy site. This should have pushed already. Let me close this. Yeah, it should have pushed. There we go. And then now all we have to do is just wait for this to finish deploying. So let me just change the site name into TsbSankara. I can't spell my own name. And then let's say social media dashboard. Save it. And then we just need to wait a few moments for the deploys to finish, and then we can check it out. So let me close this, and let me close this one as well. Let me close this one, and I can close the Tailwind CSS as well. And then now we have this where I'm going to submit my solution. So for the submit solution, we are going to do this. Let me see. Let's say this. Let's say submit solution, and I closed my GitHub repository. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? There we go. So close this, and close this, and then just copy this link to the GitHub repo, and then paste in the repository URL. And then site has not been deployed, but I know that this is the name of the site. So where is it? What? Has it not deployed? What? Why has it not deployed? Okay, it has deployed. Okay, there we go. Almost gave me a heart attack. So let's go ahead and do this. So let me copy this link, copy this, and then paste it inside here, and then change the title into mobile first social media dashboard board with theme switcher. Let's say React.js. Pressing a hyphen here. There we go. And then we can just say submit solution, and that should be fine. We can now close this, and we can close this, and we can close this as well. So wait for this to finish submitting, and then we will have completed the project. So there we go. Now we have our solution up and running. You can say view solution, and then when we view the solution, look at this now. Because we built it, we built the light theme first of all, but they built the dark theme. So we have this. Look at this. What? Why is this? Wait, where's the site? Why does it do this to me? I mean, the functionality is working correctly, but why does it do that to me? Anyways, so that is the complete project, and I hope you enjoyed this project and you learned how to build the dark mode and the light mode toggle. But yeah, that is going to be the end of the video, and if you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.